Hey, what's up, everybody? Uh, I guess today I'm gonna talk about Ghostricks, because they're one of my favorite decks. Now, now that probably all of the support is either announced or out, I would love it to get more support personally, though. Another more versatile hand trap, probably, is what I would like the most. Or more level 2s is good too. Anyway, so first I'm gonna go over my deck and I'll talk about why I chose what I put in the deck, and then I'll go through all of the Ghostrick cards that I don't use, and why I don't use them, or why nobody uses them, if they're really that bad. So first off, I use 3 Ghostrick Stein. A lot of people say that you can use 2 Ghostrick Stein, but I like to use 3 because getting my field spell is so important that I even run terraforming. So, basically, ghost tricks are this. If you don't get your field spell, you're going to lose. That's how it is. Next up is Ghostrick Ghoul. Ghostrick Ghoul is sort of a personal preference. You can either run Ghostrick Ghoul or Ghostrick Skeleton. Ghostrick Ghoul and Skeleton are both sort of the same but different. You don't want to get them out until you have a full field set up, which is why you only run one of either. And you don't want to draw them, so that's also another reason to run one. You only need them for certain situations. If your opponent is open and you can get Ghoul, you should get Ghoul. You add up all your monsters' attacks, you can potentially OTK them that turn, if your attacks add up enough. Now, with the Ghostrick monsters, this is only possible if you run Mummy, and I don't, so I just use him to usually get the killing blow in. Once I've dealt about 2,000, if I have a full field set up, I'll search Ghoul and just kill them quickly. Next up is our monster searcher, Jiangshi. When Jiangshi is flipped up, you can add a ghost trick from your deck to your hand, whose level is less than or equal to the number of ghost trick monsters you have face up on the field. So, in other words, if you have 3 ghost tricks, you can search every monster in your deck, which is really good, because you can get 3 ghost tricks pretty quick. Next is Witch. A lot of people don't run Witch and Doll. They run Doll instead of Witch, but I run Doll and Witch because Witch is good if your opponent if your opponent's playing a deck that doesn't need to have very many monsters out at a time. For example, Boojins. Witch says, "Hey, I'm gonna flip you face down," and if they use Turtle to negate it, well, that's what Dullahan's for, right? Dullahan helps us out in the battle phase. So Witch says, if you don't run very many monsters, I'm going to flip your guys face down. And then you're going to be sad because I'm just going to attack you directly. Next up is probably the best card in the deck, Doll. Ghostrick Doll says, when it's flipped face up, its effect is triggered. And then, during the end phase, regardless of if it's on the field, in the graveyard, removed from play, if it's in your hand, its effect doesn't activate, I don't think. But any of those things, and then all of the monsters on the field are flipped face down, and you special summon a ghost trick from your deck face down, whose level is less than or equal to the monsters you flip down with this effect, counting yours and your opponent's. So, if you have 2, your opponent has 1, or if you have 1, your opponent has 2, and that 1 is Doll, or another one and Doll's in the graveyard and has activated its effect already, then you get to special summon any ghost trick from your deck. And that's nice, because it's really easy to set up. And finally, we come to the hand traps. Now, Frost and Lantern are personal preference. You can either run 2 Frost and 1 Lantern, which I like, or 2 Lantern and 1 Frost, which most other people like. I like 2 Frost and 1 Lantern because Lantern's effect is simple. He does what he does. He negates your opponent's attacks. That's good and all, but Ghostrick Frost not only negates my opponent's attacks, but it also flips that monster face down, which is really handy, because during my next turn, I might just get to attack directly because of that. So that's helpful. And Jiangxi alone, by himself on the field, can search any of my hand traps, which means Frost is readily available. Next is Spectre. You can either run 2 or 3 Spectre, but I run 3 Spectre just for the simple fact of I might be able to draw Spectre without having to waste a search on him, because searching Spectre is not really optimal for the deck. You just kind of want to have him in the event that you will need him. And you'll need him a couple times, maybe once or twice per game, but I've never had to use all 3. So, unless I'm using him to make something. So, that's why I run 3 Spectre. Because I don't want to have to search him, and drawing him is never bad. Because as long as I have another Ghostrick and him, he's live. Mary is our final hand trap. Mary is awesome. She does the same thing that Doll does. Well, not the same. Well, basically, whenever you take any kind of damage, battle damage or effect damage, you discard her from your hand and then special summon any Ghostrick from your deck face down. Which is nice, because you're going to be taking a lot of direct attacks, thanks to our fancy field spell. Dark Hole, obvious. Terraforming, obvious. We need a field spell. It's the most important card in the deck, and we don't have a monster searcher for it yet. Except for Stein. And Stein isn't reliable enough alone, I feel. So that's why I run 1 Terraforming. Because Terraforming is never really a bad card. It's a ±0, really. I mean, even if you already have the field spell, you just get Terraforming and search another field spell. It's really good. It's basically, I'm running 39 carbs, really. It's hardly ever dead. 2 Mystical Space Typhoons, because you don't need 3. You really don't, thanks to Out, or Vanish, whatever you want to call it. Book of Moon, just because my whole theme is flipping things face down, so why not add more of that? Also, it can help me get around things that are annoying. Beals, for example. Say Stardust or anything like that, if I want to do Dark Hole. House, obviously, most important card in the deck. While any person's monsters are all face down, the opponent can attack them directly, but any damage inflicted by monsters that are not Ghostricks is halved. However, all effect damage is halved, which is why we don't run Werewolf, but I'll talk about that later. Bottomless, kinda obvious. Ghostrick Vanish. Ghostrick Vanish protects all your monsters from targeting or being destroyed by card effects for 1 turn. You do have to reveal a Ghostrick in your hand, but since you can search them, no matter what, as soon as you have Jiangxi, you can search. It's never dead. 1 Torrential. A lot of people don't run Dark Hole or Torrential, but instead run 2 Needle Ceilings, but I like Dark Hole and Torrential. I really do, because you can activate Dark Hole the first turn you draw it, and Torrential Tribute can really help out if you've gotten your field wiped and have gone into Spectre on the field alone, and your opponent sets up something Torrential. There you go. Anyway, as I was saying, yeah, the recording stopped, sorry. Anyway, Panic lets you stop all your opponent's plays. Compulse, obvious. Fetus Chain, obvious. Ghostrick Knight is an interesting card, but it's not interesting enough for you to want to run more than 1. Basically, if you have a face-up Ghostrick, your opponent can't flip summon, and if you have Alucard and this out and a bunch of field full of Ghostricks, you're pretty fucking set, because your opponent, if they don't draw into MST and they have a full field set, you win. You just automatically win. your opponent can't do anything. Okay, Dust Tornado, Twister, whatever. Nobody runs that shit. Except for in their side deck. Unless they draw MST, and a lot of people are running 2 MSTs instead of 3, so that makes it even harder. And your field spell, and chains, and any traps that you set, even spells, are all MST bait. So if you can bait out 2, and then get out Knight, you pretty much win. About 80% of the time. And then Solemn, because everybody plays Solemn, okay? 2, Downward Magician, because Downward Magician can rank up off of any of your other things. You can turn into a Downward Magician, aka Free Beater, Piercing, too. Because it basically comes in at 2700. 2700 Piercer, that's pretty good. Alucard, yes, Alucard's good. When he's sent to the graveyard, you can add a Ghostrick card from your graveyard to your hand. And once per turn, you can attach a material to blow up a set card. And most of your things make your opponent's cards become set. So he's good. Also, while he's face up, your opponent can't target other Ghostrick monsters or any face down defense position monsters for attacks. Levier. In case your opponent likes to banish things, then Levier says, I'm just going to get that back, okay? Mech-Whipped Engineer I like a lot better than Zenmaines because of this little combo. If you have Engineer out and Downward Magician, you can change one of their opponent's monsters to face-up defense position and then pierce it. 27 piercing. That's really good. Also, you change your own monsters to regular face-up defense position and prevent them from being destroyed, which is very handy. It's not face-down defense position, but at least it's defense position. Fortune Tune. Fortune Tune helps you get back your Jiangxis and your Steins, because you need those to make other things, and to get stuff. Dagusto Phoenix. I don't ever really make Dagusto Phoenix, but when I make him, he wins games. He's 3,000 by himself. 1,500 really. Because I can attack twice, and if I have the field spell he's halved. That's still 1,500 direct. That's almost as much as what Stein does. So that's why I play him. Succubus. Succubus is interesting. Now, a lot of people say, oh, well, Succubus, I mean, like, once it's flipped face down by the effect of another card, like Doll or anything, your opponent's monster zone isn't locked down anymore. Well, that's not what matters. What matters is, combined with Ghoul, you can destroy any monster in the game. And that's really fucking good. And if you do keep her face up and destroy more things, your opponent's not going to be able to play as many monsters. And that will make locking down with Knight even easier. So I run 2. Also, she has Ghostrick in her name. Gachi. Another rank 2. Protects himself from destruction. Thus he is a wall. Just like Engineer by itself could be a wall to help me defend. And all my monsters gain attack from him. That's really fucking nice. My Jiangxi gains defense from him. That's really fucking nice. My Jiangxi at 2200 defense, that's awesome. My Jiangxi is not as vulnerable as it once was, thanks to Gachi. Rank 1s now. Ghostrick Dullahan. Ghostrick Dullahan's pretty good. It says it gains 200 attack for each Ghostrick card you control that's face up. So, that includes your field spell, it includes your Knight, and it includes all of your Ghostrick monsters, obviously. Once per turn during either player's turn, as a quick effect, you can chain it to anything that's not a counter trap card. Target a face-up monster on the field, have that target's attack until the end phase. By detaching a material, of course. Then, when it's sent to the graveyard, you can target a Ghostrick card in your graveyard besides him and add it to your hand. Next up is Utopia Roots. Not many people use Utopia Roots, but I like him because just like Gachi, just like Engineer, he can be a wall by himself. Because even though he's terrible after he loses his materials, he could still take 2 attacks. And if that monster was an Exceed monster that attacked him, he could turn into a huge beater. If it's a rank 4, he turns into 2500, just like Utopia. That's really good. Last but not least, certainly not least, our last wall. Shiny Magician, aka Slacker Magician. Once per turn, it can't be destroyed by battle. You don't have to detach a material for that. Then, during either player's turn, when a card or effect is activated that targets it, detach a material, negate it, and destroy it. Your opponent can't target it with stuff. It can't be destroyed by battle once per turn. It's Go 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 Golem done right. Side deck. Triple Max C. Drawing's good. It's a level 2. That's good. It helps me make things. Succubus doesn't need all Ghostricks as materials. That's awesome. DD Crow. DD Crow is amazing against Boojins, so that's why I play it. I don't like Boojins, so I side quite a few things against Boojins. Third Mystical Space Typhoon, because I like it. Zombie World. Against a lot of decks, this is really good, and I don't give a shit about it, because it doesn't impact my deck at all. It makes it better, even. Overworked. Because the only thing I run that'll make my monsters higher the attack than they are is Ghoul by himself and Gachi Gachi. And Dullahan. Fire Fists can go fuck themselves. That's all I have to say. Ghostrick Go Round. Ghostrick Go Round is basically Panic, but once per turn. That's really good. Goes in Match. All my monsters in the main deck, and a lot of the ones in the extra deck, are all dark. So, if I'm playing any deck that uses more than one attribute, it makes it a hell of a lot easier. Debunk. For those honest Cranes, Kaloots, fucking all the Boojin shit that activates in the graveyard, yeah, meet Debunk. Okay, now we can finally talk about the stuff I don't use, and why I don't use it. I don't use Ghostrick Mummy because he only lets me special summon dark monsters while he's face up on the field, and quite a few things in my extra deck that I might need to go for at any moment in time are not dark. Werewolf, because he inflicts damage. For every set card he inflicts 100 damage, but while I have the field spell, his damage gets halved by that, so that's 50 per card. That's not worth it at all. Skeleton, which I might run over Ghoul in the future. Skeleton's really good, okay? He mills 5 cards. He banishes the top 5 cards from your opponent's deck face down. That's hilarious. Why doesn't more people use the Skeleton? You only need 1. You can get him back with multiple cards. Succubus does not get things back when she's into the graveyard, so beware. Yeti, because unlike people think, when he's attacked by a monster that has more attack than his defense, when he's attacked by something bigger than him and he's in defense, he can't protect himself from that battle. So, useless. He doesn't even stall very good. Yukiona, because I don't want to wait for my opponent to have to do something to me for me to be able to start my combos. Neko, because, again, this deck's about setting. I don't want to have to keep more than one thing face up if I don't have to. Doll, obviously I use it. And let's see, Museum. Ghostrick Museum. None of my other monsters that aren't Ghostricks can't attack. Bye-bye extra deck. However, Ghostrick Museum has a flaw. At the end of the damage step, change any monsters that inflicted battle damage to a player to face down defense position. Sometimes it would be really good, I acknowledge that, but I really want some of my monsters to stay face up sometimes. That's why I don't run Museum. Parade, I don't know why anyone thought Parade was a good idea to run, really. Okay, Parade is the same as the others, can attack directly and all that shit. But when an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you can add a Ghostrick card from your deck to your hand. Okay, because of that, I will consider running one Parade instead of my Terraforming. Because Parade is a field spell that I can search with Stein, that can help me search Mansion, and also let me attack my opponent directly. However, all damage your opponent takes becomes 0. That's why, if you want to run it, run 1 and 3 Mansion, because Mansion's the shit. That's it. So, now you know my opinions on all the Ghostrick cards, and hopefully this gave you some insight on what to do with Ghostricks, or how to play Ghostricks even, whatever, what have you will. If you were to net deck this, side deck for what you're going to be playing against. So change the side deck, try swapping out Knight for Ghostrick Go Around, and try running 2 Mary, 1 Ghoul, and 1 Mummy. Those are my tips and tricks to truly personalizing the deck for how you like to play it. So that's it. Bye.